Irish dance in Canada goes way back to when the first immigrants landed here, bringing with them a vital element of the rich culture they left behind. Dance remained an important link with Irish ways. In Ireland, it's still associated with close-knit families and villages of friends, reflected in the local names of the set dances themselves. Here in Canada, more and more people across many cultures are being introduced to Irish dance as a way to keep healthy and enjoy the company of family and friends.
So when I was about 4 years old, I used to take step dancing with the Butler Academy. May and June Butler were teachers at the time, and so I started dancing with them. I also danced with a girl called Kathy Hamilton, and so then we moved to Ireland, and I started doing dancing with the local teacher, Carmel O'Rourke. Carmel used to play the accordion, and I used to dance, and then she asked me, will you come along and dance at all the classes and help me teach? So I started to do that. So I continued to do that until she left and went to America to get married, and then I took over the classes locally only, because I was only young. I was still only 16, and so I was kind of just teaching locally with her. But the Cayleys and stuff in a hall called Doherty's Hall, and I would always be allowed to go to the Cayleys, so I wasn't always allowed to go to the dance halls. But we loved the Waltz of Limerick and the Siege of Venice and the Haymaker's Jig and the waltzing and all that kind of stuff, just loved it. So we had a pub. I was raised in a pub in County Leitrim, and the old people would come in and try to get us to do like the Leitrim sets and stuff. And we said, oh no, that's for the old people. We don't want to be doing that. We were more into step dancing. Anyway, I came to Canada, and I went back to the Butler Academy. And then we started going down, Comhaltas formed, and started going down to the Transact Club, and we started doing more Cayley dancing. And then Kate Crossan came over from Ireland, and she said, set dancing is all the rage in Ireland, you should try to do that. So went to Ireland. I learned a few sets and came back and started teaching it. And then going to some of the dance conventions, I learned a little bit more. Brendan Brown would come up from Buffalo, and he would do some sets with us, and so gradually I learned one set at a time, and every time I learned a set I taught it at the Irish Centre. So other people in other towns that used to live in Toronto would move out. People moved out to Kingston or out to Ottawa, and then they would come in and they would say, oh Maureen, maybe you'll come and teach us some sets, or teach us, get the Cayley dancing going there. So I did. I started going once a month to Kingston. I went to Ottawa, I went to Prince Edward Island, I went to St. John, New Brunswick for one of their conventions, I went to Saskatoon. And then some people down at the conventions, I taught in San Francisco, I taught in Washington, I taught in New York, I taught in a little bit in St. Louis and Chicago. I can do Cayley dancing, step dancing, set dancing, waltzes, jives. Jive's a big thing at the convention now because nobody can teach it. Yes. So I'm teaching jiving a lot at the conventions right now.
Does that mean you're a jiving instructor?
I'm a everything instructor. I tell you, when the music starts, my body moves. I can't help it. My feet are moving, my fingers are moving, my body is moving. Music just makes me dance and laugh and smile, and I just want everybody to enjoy dancing as much as I do.
When we started the branch in Toronto, we were being quite successful, and we were bringing the concerts out, and the concerts were selling out, Yeah. And other people like Kingston and Ottawa,
yes,
they wanted to start branches,
mm-hmm.
and so we would drive up there and be part of the opening thing, and we would play at Cayley's and concerts. And that's how Any Show started, because Chris was there, and Kieran Wade, Kevin Finnegan, Tom Ryan, myself.
Tamara was very enthusiastic about it, and of course he ran Friends of Fiddler's Green, which was a folk club and a group.
Yeah.
The name of the group and folk club. So he came down and he showed a lot of interest in it. He was very enthusiastic and said, well, why don't you come up and play in Friends of Fiddler's Green on Eglin's Avenue? And so we did. So we went there regularly, and after a while they started to have some small ceilidhs in there. But you know, the funny thing about it is, it was a shape like this, an L shape, but it was much smaller. And so we'd be playing music to say there, and when the dancers were doing a progressive dance, they just disappeared. Or they'd go round the corner, and we'd say, well, a few more goes to see when they return, because they'd still be dancing.
You have to have seen this place that we were playing in. It was an L-shaped room, and it was sort of, it was a steep sort of room, and then there was a kind of a ramp down to the end of the room, and then there was a sort of a part to the side, and we had ceilidhs in there, and Anne, my wife Anne, and Marie Finnegan called the dances, and we would have about 20 or 30 people. You couldn't have had more, in there. And it was great. It was just really good, So that's where we had the ceilidhs as well. And then when we moved to the transept, of course, then we had more room, and we just actually they continued over there, And those were very good ceilidhs,
So you were interested in dance as well as music?
Oh, I was, yeah. I danced till I was almost 21. But back then, the kids did, or people did. I mean, I just loved, because it sort of took the place of all of the stuff I had left behind, so it filled in some.
Well, I love dancing.
Yeah.
I play for dances, but I just do love to dance. Having the band get up there, and the first night where we played a whole dance and we didn't have a huge train crash.
Yeah.
I mean, playing for a dance is a completely different animal than a session or on your own or a concert. And so that was wonderful. That was a great experience. Getting a chance to play with other more advanced, more well-known, more experienced. I had a couple of opportunities to do that. So there's lots of little spots and places that are,
What would you say is the difference between playing a session in the corner here and playing for a dance? What's the biggest difference?
When you're playing in a session, you're playing for yourself and for each other, and it's it can ebb and flow, and it can you can stop and start if you need to and all that. When you're playing for a dance, you're playing for the dancers, and you want to see those dancers hearing that rhythm and hearing that music and getting a lift, and you're playing it and you don't get to stop. Because they're dancing and they're wanting to keep that dance, and you want to keep supporting them doing that dance in a certain way. And the music has to have a lift, and it has to have a steady rhythm, and it has to, the tune isn't the primary in one sense. You want it there, but if you lose the tune, you just keep the thing going so that the dancers keep going. Whereas in a session, if you can adjust things all the time. And you don't have to keep playing a tune after a tune after a tune after a tune.
Yeah.
So both of them are delightful, but they're different animals.
I'll tell you one thing that we've started doing here. Maureen started having us get up and dance during sessions. So that has actually made it it's made the dancing more popular. People have watched it who've been sitting around watching the music saying, oh, that's what they do? Because we dance usually before the sessions. So now what happens, yeah, we dance before the sessions, we do our classes for 2 hours before the sessions, then people stay for the sessions and watch the music, and Maureen's been getting us to get up and dance during the sessions. So when Bonnie and Desi were doing it, Bonnie said she loved us dancing during the sessions because it made them play to like stick to a beat and stick to a type of music and really work the music so that we could dance to them.
And we've had a few Ceilidhs here, and they're always family Ceilidhs, so everyone is invited, and it's great to see the kids come and join in as well. Our sessions on a Tuesday night, we're preceded every second Tuesday by set dancing from 6:30 to 8:30, and then the session began. Some nights we would have 12, 15, 25, 30 musicians up here in this room we're in now, and it was amazing. People would come in, people from all over, people visiting and whatever, and say, you know, if I didn't know the address of this place, I would have thought I was in a pub in Ireland. And that was really such a compliment to us.
Oh my God! Yeah. We shared a room for one of the conventions, and it was the second year I went to the convention, and they started this new thing where it was dancing. So late night dancing from 1 till 4.
Girls, and then she has to be at 9 a.m. at a workshop.
I had to be at a workshop at 9 o'clock the next day. I got home, I was walking home, is this still recording? I was walking home and I got off the bus in Hamilton and I was walking and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I hadn't even actually thought about how much I danced that weekend. It hurt, I was sore afterwards, but yeah, it was worth it. The late night dancing was very, very fun.
Well, I hope once COVID is over that we can pick up and carry on. I mean, it will be great to get back to meeting here on a Tuesday night and get back to the dancing. We have people who come to the dance classes who have no Irish connection at all, and they're quite faithful followers.
Tell me all about it.
Riverdance. When Riverdance came out, which was in '95, my mother put me in Irish dancing the very next year. Right. So I was 6, I think. Yeah, I think I was 6 years old. So I started at 6. It was put in with the Bernadette Short School of Irish Dance in Montreal, and that's it. I never stopped since. I think there's a major interest in Irish dance in Canada, predominantly because of Riverdance, and Lord of the Dance, I think, has really started it off, and then it's made its way on the map through that and word of mouth. But it's funny because whoever's not in that world has no idea it exists either. Right. While this was all available in Montreal, I was not exposed to it like I was here. When I came here, I was sourced out to join and teach Irish dancing, and then I became aware of everything that Comhaltas had to offer. So then I figured out what the Ceilidhs were, and set dancing, and Ceilidh dancing, and the Sean Nose dancing, and I was just fascinated, but I didn't know about it before. So it was kind of neat to see that Kingston had such a wide range of dance available. It felt like I was dancing just about every day, and I'd have like a day off between the teaching and then anything that the group was having, between just lessons and functions and then just the general Ceilidhs. It was, you were dancing once a week at the very least, you know, set dance classes, right, in different places, and then right by the water, you know, so everybody can get together and just dance socially. Then you have your Ceilidhs, so everybody can get together and try it. And then I have the solo dance classes, and we have been touching into Sean Nose, but I don't think we've gotten too far in that yet.
Right, because Julie does that.
Julie does it, yeah, and I learned a little bit, right, and I love it.
So what kind of people do you get to your class?
Anybody who wants to learn. So I'll have anyone from the age of 4 all the way up to probably 94 if they're willing. Yeah. Pre-pandemic, they were weekly classes, and they'd come once a week, and then we'd have, you know, any kind of community events where they join us, or we would have participate through the Ceilidhs.
And would you go out and bring a dance group then to a Ceilidh and get them to do their little...
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you figure out who are the ones who love to be on the stage and just show off. Yeah. I think I was born into it, and not so much now, but I was a big ham when I was younger. I loved the attention. I loved to perform and get up on stage.
So you're looking forward to dancing post-pandemic then?
It would be nice, yeah. It almost forgets what it feels like.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get a group of people together, isn't it?
It is,
yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, For the regular weekly dances that we have here at Bob's, there would be anywhere from 8, sometimes 10 or 12 people would show up, and we'd do set dancing mostly. At the senior center, the weekly classes, there's about 16 or 18 people show up regularly. And then for the Ceilidhs, we've had anywhere from 40 or 50 up to about 120 on St. Patrick's Day, but that's generally the number of people that would show up.
Right.
Yeah. Every week we have dance here at Bob's, and every week from September through to the end of June we have classes at the senior center. And the Ceilidhs would go from September to May. So we have about 5 a year now instead of 8 a year. So, and we get good attendance generally. Yeah.
So what got you involved in set dancing? Because I think of you, when I think of set dancing in Kingston.
That goes back to my wife, Julie, and Maureen. Julie had gone to a set dancing workshop one afternoon in Kingston, and Maureen was leading it. I was at home, and she came back after that workshop and said, "Guess where we're going tonight?" And so we went to the Ceilidh that was at the place where Martha's Table used to be, and it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and we got in touch with Bob and his wife Angela, who had been in Toronto and got doing set dancing with Maureen, and then we started coming out here, and it just grew from there. We go to Willie Clancy about every other year, so about 8 or 9 times we've gone now, and that's a week in a little town called Milltown Malby, where it's just an amazing week for music and dance. There's the dance workshops every day with people like the Brooks Academy, and Timmy McCarthy used to be, but he's passed away now, and different people do the set dancing workshops. And you can do 3 Ceilidhs a day if you want. So you're dancing from 10 in the morning till 1 in the morning if you want. So it's just a great week. At a convention that's varied over the years, but if you went to the big Ceilidh on the Saturday night, you might see 20 sets on the floor. So you'd have 160 people up dancing. At Willie Clancy, particularly the nights the Tuller, the Kilfenor Ceilidh band are playing, you'd have difficulty finding a square foot of space on the dance floor. There'd be 30 or 40 sets up. There are classes going again in September. We're hoping to do some dancing in September, October. Just have to see what the different regulations come out as. We're planning a little outdoor get-together out at the Gaeltacht site in September, so we hope to be going again in the fall on a limited scale.
I myself work at Queen's University here in Kingston, and I manage the International Centre. So I have a fantastic job, wonderful job. I work with students who come to study at Queen's from all around the world. And this would have been our 3rd year, and we certainly will go back to doing this due to popular demand, but our local branch of Harp of Tara, we brought Ireland to the International Centre 3 years ago, where we had a Sunday afternoon. It was actually born from the university approaching the International Centre for some assistance on culture. And essentially, what's our alternative to green beer and leprechauns with the university age group and St. Patrick's Day, which for anyone who knows is a bit of an issue when it comes to university age students. So we decided a full week in advance of St. Patrick's Day on a Sunday afternoon, from grannies to little kids, international students, domestic students, everybody's welcome. We brought Harp of Tara, we brought the musicians, we brought Jessica's McGrath School of Irish Dance, Stephen Rayner called the Ceilidhs, we had the 7th Town Band come and perform, and it was magic. We had students from Europe, Africa, South America, Asia, up doing the Haymaker's Jig and the Walls of Limerick. and the bonfire dance.
Yeah.
And it was great fun. We set up an Irish display, costumes, bowrons, fiddles. We had scones and cream and tea.
Yes.
And we did it all. And it was so well received, and we've been asked to continue that now on an annual basis at the university. And we will be inviting the St. Lawrence students to come to Queen's for that, and inviting the Queen's students to come to St. Lawrence when Harpatara, post-COVID, gets back to having our monthly Ceilidhs.
I was doing contra dancing in Kingston, and that group folded. And this is more than 25 years ago now, pretty much, around that. And so it was all new to me. I went to this event with my husband, which was an Irish event, and there was a boron there, and that was the first time I'd seen a boron, and I was fascinated by that. And then, because I like drums, and then there was this, you could just get up and dance. So I got up and I danced. So that was a Ceilidh dance. But once I got into it, when Maureen came up, she did proper, she taught us a set, and we spent 4 hours working on a set or two, and then that evening there was a Ceilidh, and so you did that set again. So that was a more focused, serious set dancing introduction. Right now we're unfortunately not able to dance, but I like dancing, and when I first came out to an Irish event many years ago, and I did a Ceilidh dance. I liked it, and I started going to workshops when Maureen Mulvey came into town on the afternoons, of certain Saturday afternoons during the year, and I just really liked set dance. And then, some kids, and I was busy, and I sort of only went to the occasional Ceilidh. But now, again, until COVID hit, I was going once a week to right here to where our set dancing practice is on Thursday evenings, and Stephen Rayner had, over that period of time, become really proficient with his wife Julie, and the two of them were able to teach regularly, whereas when we started that wasn't possible.
So how often would you say there's set dance classes here?
Oh, once a week, and then they also offer them at the senior center, but once a week.
My wife was a dancer. She could dance to anything. I wasn't. So when we were in Toronto, I heard about the Irish, Maureen's Irish dance. And I figured, okay, this I can do. I know the music. Yeah. And so we started Irish dancing with Maureen. And then when we came here, there wasn't any Irish dancing. So I got involved with Comhaltas, and they weren't doing much when I got here.
Yeah.
So I started the set dancing here, and a bunch of people joined Comhaltas for the set dancing, which was good.
How long ago was that?
That was 1997.
Wow. So that's a while back.
Yeah, yeah. I should be a better dancer by now.
As you said, with the mid-90s, river dance. Everybody was into river dance. So that brought a lot of, especially young people, into the Irish dance schools. It brought some of the older people back into the traditional Irish set dancing or social dancing. And that, it lasted for a while, and people get older, people die, and so you get that ebb, and then it starts coming back up again. So it's always going to be like that. There's always going to be ebbs and flows, and people will be interested, then they'll kind of forget for a while, and then maybe their children will come back to it. So it's always going to be here.
So we sent a couple of people to Montreal, October 1974, to see the first concert that came to Canada, and the two people came back with rave reviews of the concert that they saw. So we went ahead then over that next winter, and we started having Ceilidhs at the Little Knights of Columbus Hall that's attached to St. Augustine's Church, Maryvale in Baseline, on Baseline Road. And it held 100 people, and we usually had 135 and even 140 there. It was always packed to capacity.
We've got a good group of people, both on the executive and in the branch itself. And everybody helps out. It's not a case of, just this little group is responsible for doing whatever. No, it's everybody helps out. At the end of the ceilidh, you have people helping take down the tables and chairs and cleaning things up, and as I said, it's a family affair. And of course, this year with COVID, we've had to do things a little differently. So we've had several online events, like a trivia night, and just St. Patrick's Day, we had the virtual ceilidh, which was really well done considering we'd never done it before. So, and we got to bring in a lot of people, a lot of our guests that we would have at the ceilidh performing for us, got to bring them in and, get their music out to the general public. So it was lots of fun.
When they had the ceilidhs, I ended up somehow or other becoming MC. Just sort of the same thing every month, like we mostly dancing. But we had great fun nights and people really enjoyed them.
Well, I had always done Irish dancing as a kid, and so this was something that was independent of Comhaltas at that time. So we started, there was the O'Gormans, and there were the Higginses, and there were the Scotts, and so it was a small little group. There's less than a dozen of us. Oh no, and the Kelly, there were 2 boys, and the Kellys. And we loved it, and we, as I said, we performed at the St. Vincent's hospitals, we performed in the old folks' homes, and had a very full, card on St. Patrick's Day, the days before and after, driving around to different homes. And so it was fun. It was really, it was fun, it was active, and it wasn't threatening, but it also kind of gave me a sense of understanding when you had to do a dance, that you were responsible for knowing where you had to be, when you had to be given your right hand or left hand. So it was really important for teamwork. I found that learning how to choreograph, but also coordinate and participate in those dances. So we were doing reels, jigs, hornpipes. We were doing 4-hand reels. We were doing, and if there were, if we had 8 people, then we did an 8-hand dance. If there were 6, we did a 6-hand dance. And we weren't involved in the competitions though. And I think I was still, the reason I was still dancing as an adult was because we didn't do the competitions.
Right. Yeah.
We were doing it for fun. We were doing it for the seniors' homes and the hospitals, the multicultural festivals in the spring and summer, and none of this heavy stakes business with the competitions.
We had lots of good members then, and the branch was very active, and the ceilidhs were full, and everybody enjoyed the music and the dancing, and always there was entertaining with singing and performers by the Irish dancers. In the earlier days, as I say, there were ceilidhs, which was the dancing, and through the years, when some of us older ones were no longer there or involved, there was an awful lot, and there is, and I have nothing against the young people being involved in the dancing, but it changed because in our day, you could go to a ceilidh and enjoy the music as well as getting up to dance, where in the latter years, there was more like a class. There was teaching of the dancing, so if you were in the audience, you didn't get to enjoy the ceilidh band in the same way. But it was very good to bring in all the younger people to keep the branch going, because we all get old and don't have the energy anymore. But the ceilidhs are still very active here in Ottawa, and I guess not for the past year, but before that.
So as a teenager, then I liked the dancing. I liked the idea of going back to it, and this was this was not necessarily Peggy anymore. This was Comhaltas. This was being done. There was Leo Brown was here. There were other people in Ottawa, and it's kind of vague for me, but there were ceilidhs. Like the patterns were similar to what we had done as kids, and so you could pick them up relatively quickly. Nora Byrne was teaching the dancing then for the adults, and I liked it. I liked being back in the dancing. I loved the music, and I liked the challenge of learning the different steps and the different dancing. When Nora decided to retire, Carol Ann had been dancing. Caroline Bowers, I think you know Caroline, had been involved in the Irish dancing as well, and we decided we would keep it going. You know, Caroline and I, because we enjoyed it, and there were adults who were coming who didn't want to see it end, and so we didn't want to drop the ball, really.
We have a few members who are really interested in set dancing and polka dancing and slides dancing, and they were interested in that as well. So I suppose it was kind of to promote the Irish style of playing amidst, again, the tradition that is here, and develop the dancing.
We had Céilís, and through the year we had Céilís, and it was great in this climate that we live in.
Yes.
Céilí is the best way for raising your spirits.
Well, they were family Céilís as well. We charged $5 admission at the door, and we would have Céilí dancing, we would have the musicians, we would have a little bar, we would look after the kitchen and have Irish food, and have whole families come and have 2 a year. They were the fundraisers, the basic fundraisers for bringing the tour.
How many would come to those Céilís, would you say?
300 to 400.
What?
Yeah, we have really, we have to get a venue, and then we'd have to go by the fire instructions about how many people could come in. $5 admission. People would come with their 3 or 4 children, because where else could you get in for $20, you know, to have an evening of old-fashioned fun, you know, with Guinness and wine, and we had kitchen food and cookies for the kids, and sausage rolls and potato bread, and so we made money on not on the door, on the bar and in the kitchen. And that would go into our bank account to bring the tour in 2 years' time.
So I mentioned we had Céilís in with the Comhaltas branch. We'd usually have 1 or 2 Céilís a year, usually depending on whether or not we had the Echo of Erin tour. If we did, we'd only have 1, but if we didn't, then we'd have the Céilí during that time.
Yeah.
And so we would just kind of rent out a hall, and we'd have some drinks, and we'd usually have a little bit of food, like some sausage rolls and some different, kind of stuff. We'd have all the session musicians up on stage, they'd be playing away, and then a few times throughout the evening, we would have a couple Céilí dances called. So, like the Walls of Limerick and Siege, that kind of thing. So, and so as I mentioned, Ted would usually, I actually called them towards the end, but Ted would usually call them at the beginning. And he'd teach them, and he'd, this is how you dance, the 1, 2, 3, and the 1, 2, 3, and then you go back, and back 2, 3, and the back 2, 3, and then here's how you do the 7-step, and a hop, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that was great. And then we danced it, and it was a train wreck, but it was lovely, and it was great. And then I went to the North American Comhaltas Convention, where there was a Céilí, and I was like, oh great, I love Céilís. And so I show up, and they're like, great, so we're going to do the Connemara reel set now. And I'm like, oh, and off they go. And I'm like, oh, wait, I don't know what I'm doing. And I guess I have enough of a head for it that and especially being a woman, when you're dancing, you can kind of follow along a little bit easier. So I got pretty good at thinking my way through some set dances, and kind of learned them well enough that I did take over when Ted moved out east. I took over calling the set dances and stuff.
I was born in County Tipperary and lived and raised in Capel-White, and there it all began. Of course, most young children grew up learning Irish dancing, and so we used to go to the dancing master about once a week, and we'd take sixpence with us, and we'd get a step. So there'd be 4 or 5 of us who would go to the dancing master's house, and we'd leave our sixpence on the sideboard when we were all going out with our step. Now, he played the accordion, so we would dance to the accordion, and it was, around there that I began to fall in love with the instrumental Irish music. I was only, 7 or 8 around that time.
I was down in Toronto visiting my daughter Angela. That was back in
95, I think. Yeah, I think so. And she was telling me that the Toronto Irish Society was closing down and that they were having a big to-do for it. We went in and it was very exciting. There was so much dancing going on and singing. Everybody seemed to be so happy. So we found our way in and sat down, and then a lady came over and introduced herself to us. I guess she noticed that we were strangers there, and she came and introduced herself to us and asked us where we came from. We said from Sudbury, and she said, Sudbury. She said, do you have a branch of Comhaltas up there? We didn't know what she was talking about. Never had heard of Comhaltas before. So I said, no. What does it entail? She said, would you like to have a branch? We said, well, we don't know. We could consider it, and we get back, we'll see. So the lady was Anne McConnell Strong. She was the chair of the region. And then the next person we met there was Maureen Mulvey O'Leary. And it was a beautiful introduction to both of them. It was almost like, it was vibrant. The atmosphere that was there and the welcome that we got from these two people, it was just wonderful.
So anyways, we came back to Sudbury, talked to some people, got a branch formed here. And people were saying, why are you forming a branch of Comhaltas in Sudbury? There's already an Irish club here, but it certainly didn't address some of the needs that I was looking for. It didn't touch my heart, the soul, right? And so I was looking for that sort of connectivity. And it was offered, so why not start it up here? So we convinced 4 or 5 people to get together, and we formed an executive and started a branch up here, and never looked back. Never looked back. That's the beginnings of it. Yeah. Along came Maureen Mulvey O'Leary, and so Maureen was a dancer, and of course, like a character to beat all characters, and lots of personality. And so she said, yeah, if you want to do that, anytime you want to do that, you give me a call, I'll get out there and I'll start teaching you how to do Irish dancing, because you obviously don't know how to do it right now. and I certainly had no idea I didn't even know I could dance, to tell the honest goodness truth. I didn't know I could dance.
It was wonderful having Maureen coming up, but in the winter time, it's very difficult for Maureen to travel those highways, and I worried about her every time she was on the road. I know there was a few times that she called, she said, it's going to be freezing rain, I don't know if I can make it. So, we held our breath to see that Maureen would show up, not that she was showing up to do the dancing or anything, show up safely, and also to find out that she got home safe. So those were things, it was a worry, and appreciated everything she'd done for us. It's just, there's no way that you can give thanks for all of that kind of stuff that has gone on in our branch.
There was a decision at one point to, and rightfully so, to focus on youth and to maybe to help them to learn dancing or whatever. We didn't really know when it started where this was going to go. And so we did start off teaching Ceilidh dancing. I remember having 6 kids in the first class, right? But anyways, they were eager, and so they came along, and other people saw them out dancing maybe at functions, and they said, hey, how can we do this? And so Helen Gannon from the Irish Arts in St. Louis, her philosophy was you teach a kid to dance and stick a tin whistle in their mouth. So we sort of took that approach, but we didn't force them to do it. It was their choice whether they wanted to do this. But that became really the Irish tradition classes. And I don't know, I think we were trying to figure out how many kids maybe we've influenced over the years. And somewhere in the neighborhood of 750 kids in 25 years. So, it's a pretty good impact, I think, right?
We dance at weddings, and we have danced at the multicultural galas, and we've danced down at the park, at the summer series at Bell Park. We've danced just about everywhere. We've gone to Massey to dance, we've gone to Timmins to dance. That was one of the things that I really loved, was the dancing, but I love the traveling that we've done all together, the group of us.
The new people that are coming in as well, before COVID hit anyway. We'd have new, especially the younger people, the younger couples with their family. And we'd always emphasize that to people. You know, if you come to one of our ceilidhs, don't come just yourself, bring the family. We've had kids in car seats sitting on the table as their parents were up dancing. You know, it's a family affair. Don't ever say you can't bring the kids. You know, so, and that's really what it's about. It's social and family.